right now the governor has on his desk this bill by a Democrat out of San Francisco, Scott Wiener. He's got Senate Bill 110, and in the Senate bill, he would basically pay meth addicts to stay sober. The way the program would work is this program would allow meth addicts to enter into a treatment program for their addiction, get regularly tested, and if for every time that person tests, negative or is clean, comes out with a clean test, that person would be given money. And after several months of treatment, that money would total, hundreds of dollars. And, not just to leave it on that particular program, that one there is on the governor's desk. That one there, we're waiting for whether he signs it or vetoes it. But starting tomorrow, on October 1st, the city of San Francisco is going to start a pilot program where it's going to pay people not to shoot other people. It's going to pay these individuals. They've identified 10 individuals who are apparently the biggest perpetrators in San Francisco, $300 a month, so that they can, quote unquote, change their life, maybe try to become ambassadors to the community and not shoot people. I mean, it seems like bizarro world.
It's what you call an Italian ass backwards. If you've got 10 people who instead of paying them $300 a month, go fucking arrest them. I mean, that's what you ought to do. That's what's wrong here, is that you identify 10 people for some reason, and I would be interested to see what the criteria is, but for some reason you've identified 10 people who are going to go, who are a high propensity to go shoot other people. And instead of arresting those people and putting them in jail, you go pay them $300 because somehow $300 is the magic number. I don't know. Did they do a market study on murderers or something? I mean, that is the most insane. I won't say it's the most insane thing because, probably the next podcast will have something else. But, clearly, if this is what the elected officials in San Francisco are doing, the San Andreas Fault is not the biggest crack in California. Let's just put it that way. This makes it literally, if anybody with common sense, and that's what we're trying to talk about here, not Republican, not Democrat, not liberal, not conservative, common sense. If there are 10 people somehow that you have identified as the people that go out and kill other people, why do you incentivize them not to kill people? What you should do is prosecute them, not incentivize them. But in their mentality, it's like we're going to reward people for not killing people. Who thinks of that? I mean, people should really stop and ask themselves the question themselves. And this is what I keep saying. We all elect these people that come up with these ideas. At some point in time, instead of pointing at the politician, people got to get up and look in the mirror and point at themselves and ask themselves, what the hell am I doing? I'm electing a politician that thinks we should be paying someone $300 not to shoot someone. I mean, if you honestly look at yourself in the mirror and think that's a good idea, you got a problem.
Well, that program.
Sorry, I didn't mean to swear there, by the way, but
no, it's okay.
It kind of got my Italian going.
But the thing is, it's like we see homicides are up all over California. I don't know if it's just because they're trying to see if more cities are going to put this program together. It's a insane use of money. Now, mind you, I will say this: the money that is in Senate Bill 110, 110, that one there, that would basically, if you're a meth addict and you go to treatment, you come out clean, they would give you money as an incentive. That one there is taxpayer money. The one that they're trying to do pilot program in San Francisco, that's coming through some private donations, or that's coming from these other foundations. But that legislation was introduced in the state legislature in California. It didn't really go anywhere, but because of all the attention it got. But I mean, that's kind of what the program is like. They want to. What happens is this: they'll do one program in one city. They'll try to do it in another city, and all of a sudden they come back and say, hey, look, we're doing it here, we're doing it here. Those 10 people we gave money haven't shot anyone in 6 months. they and these other 10 people we gave money to haven't shot anyone else, so it must be working. As opposed to looking at it as like, don't shoot anyone. I
Right.
mean, it's like,
And if you do, don't give them $300 or take their $300 away. Arrest them.
right.
I mean, if you've got a list of people that you've identified as 10 people who shoot people, don't pay them to not shoot people. Arrest them. Why is that so complicated? And in terms of the meth thing, I have absolutely no knowledge about that issue. I mean, thank God I've never had, and I don't have any family or friends that I know of that have had that issue. So I don't know if there's some, you know, research or data that shows that kind of thing may work. To me, as I hear it, it's like, okay, you pay them until, do you pay them in perpetuity? Once you stop paying them, now that the incentive gone, do they fall back into their old habit? I don't know about that. But I know the thing in San Francisco is just plain nuts, and the fact that it's private money. It doesn't, it's still public policy. I mean, that's the thing. It can be private money, but they're still instituting public policy.
So, Mike, the thing is that I've come from an immigrant family. I know your family immigrated here to the United States too, and the message was always for us is like, don't do dumb things. You know,
It's a
do
good
what's
start,
right. Yeah,
right?
it's like don't get involved in dumb things. It's like, where does this end? So we're going to pay meth addicts to go to treatment and not do meth. I mean, we're going to pay people not to shoot people. Now, what is next? Are we going to now pay drunk drivers not to go out and be drunk drivers? I guess it's for me. It's like, where does this end? Where does this go? And what about everyone else who plays by the rules? What about everyone else who who isn't the meth addict? What about those individuals who maybe didn't go out and party as much when they were younger, but put in all the schoolwork and hard work in order to try to get good grades or try to do something with their lives, and they're good, productive members of society. Where's their reward? Obviously, I mean, no one's giving them, the extra $300 just to not be a drunk driver or
Right.
not to be a meth addict or not to be shooting people. It's this idea of personal responsibility, and is that out the door? Are we making just excuses for individuals for their behavior, and we justify it because, well, the voters passed $1.2 billion for homelessness,
We
so
got to
obviously
spend
we
it
got to give,
somewhere.
yeah, we got to give it to them. The state has a $70 billion surplus, so you know what? Hey, we got money, so might as well throw it here, throw it there. I mean, where does personal responsibility kick in?
It doesn't anymore. That's the whole point of this thing, which is that the government decides what is personal responsibility and what isn't. It's not you. It's not your parents that brought you up. It's the government, and they determine that by financial reward. If you want to know how badly this ends up, just take a look at what happened 3 months ago. 3 months ago or 2 months ago, we were giving away everything in the kitchen sink for people to go get vaccines, to go get a vaccination shot. It wasn't you should get a vaccination shot because it's going to help save your life or it might help save your grandfather's life. It was go get a vaccination shot and we'll put you in a lottery for $1.5 million dollars or whatever. $15 million dollars they had in money for the California lottery. We'll put you in a lottery. You win money. Woo! Or go get a shot and you get some other benefits. You get a Target card, you get a Costco card, whatever it was. You get all these benefits. Well, guess what? It didn't work. It didn't work because people's behavior didn't want to do that. When you incentivize things like this, it doesn't always work. And what we've done now is, in some of these things, and I do put the two differently between what San Francisco's doing and Senate Bill 110, because 110 deals with people who have lost control. I mean, they are the personal responsibility thing is being taken over by their drug addiction, and so you have to look at that, I think, a little differently. But to create something, no matter where the money comes from, that rewards people for not killing people, it basically says we give up. We don't know how to stop people from killing people, so we're going to pay them money not to do it. And I just think that I hate to use the R word, but if anybody had half a brain in San Francisco, they'd start recalling some of these people that want to do that. Unless, I go back to my point, unless they agree with it, and in which case, you know, they deserve to be there, and they deserve what happens to them, because it just is a forget personal responsibilities, forget social responsibilities. I'll go back to what I said. It's an ass backward system. You should pay people to report people who are killing people. That's what you ought to do. You should pay people who have the guts or the nuts to stand up and testify against people who are killing people. That's what you ought to do. You don't pay people not to kill people. I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. All I know is where I grew up in Providence, it never worked that way. I don't know if it works that way here in California, but it didn't work that way there, man. It was, I mean, again, if you've literally identified people who you want to pay money to not to kill people, what you ought to be doing is just arresting those people, not paying them not to kill people. It's mind-boggling to me.
That's a whole. It's an entirely for me. It's just an entirely weird way, a strange way of looking at it.
It's where we are today, though. It really is. It's this incentivizing bad behavior. There's a reward to it now,
Right.
and exactly what you said. What about all of the people that play by the rules? What about all the people that pay their taxes? What about all the people that do, stop at the red light? What about all the people that, don't go out and shoot up? What about all the people that don't go out and shoot people? What all they get for this is they got to work harder to pay more taxes to pay for all this insanity. That's why, to me, this state is upside down.
And that's where common sense has really just gone out the door. And and so as we try to sort through a lot of these things, and bringing them over to those listening and to this podcast, but also those watching the video content, is we just bring you the information here. We obviously have a good lively discussion on it, but at the same time, as Mike said, Mike, you said is it's up to the people to determine who they want their leaders to be. Just like parents are the stakeholders in their kids' education and in their children's lives. We as voters, we are the stakeholders in the society that we want to create. We are the stakeholders in our own government. And so, if we don't like, what's happening with these prosecutors that are doing the zero bail, letting people out just, willy nilly because, oh, we looked at the last crime you did, and we don't want to put more people in jail because it's going to hurt their feelings or whatever it may be, and they go out and commit a crime. That's a decision. That's an elected official. That's someone who was put in that office that you can go remove out of office. And so, and the same thing here. If you're not happy or you're upset or you think it's wrong that we should be paying people not to shoot other people, then you've got that choice and you've got that decision to make. And for us, as we deal in these politics, as we deal in the political arena, we get to see a lot more things that other people do. And at the same time, it never ceases to amaze me, how government is spending our taxpayer money, what are the new inventive programs they try to come up with, and at times it seems ass backwards.
And that's the name of the show for today. Ass backwards. I'm waiting for someone to incentivize me after this is over to go take my blood pressure medicine. That's what I'm waiting for, my incentive of the day. It's just, there's just no words for it. It really is just no words for it. But again, it's what people our government is such that we elect people to represent us. It's a republic form of government. People are representing us. And so if people are doing things that are absolutely positively off the wall, then we ought to do something about it. And if we don't, we got nobody to blame but ourselves. And that's kind of where we end up in this thing. And God bless San Francisco. I have no idea what they're doing up there. I wish them well.
Well, I think that's a good spot to end this podcast and call it a day for us here. And
Well, we got to figure out a list to get on that someone can pay us $300 to not listen to Hector and Mike. We should try that.
well,
You pay $100 to listen and $300 not to listen. That makes sense. Yeah, why not? Let's try
that
that.
does make sense.